Now find island-inspired, limited-time flavors at Whole Foods Market for the Explore the Tropics sales event. Enjoy pre-marinated mains like mango coconut salmon and pineapple teriyaki chicken, and pair them with seasoned, ready-to-heat beans from a dozen cousins. Need dinner and a snap? Grab zesty lime shrimp salad, mango turkey burgers, and more from Prepared Foods. And, of course, there's the mango yuzu chantilly cake. Explore the tropics and save at Whole Foods Market in-store and online.
TaxAct knows filing your taxes can be complicated, and that's why we have live experts to help you with any questions. They can hold your hand through the process beginning to end. Metaphorically, of course. I mean, they can't actually hold your hand in person. I suppose you could hold your computer mouse while you chat with the expert about capital gains or whatever, which is sort of like holding hands. Sorry, point is, our tax experts can make filing easier. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
This is why a mindfulness practice is so powerful. Meditation is powerful. Prayer is powerful. Anything that you can do to separate yourself from the thought and realize that you are not that thought is really helpful. But for me, understanding that that was not a normal way of processing was important, because then I realized, well, if I'm still coming back to this over and over, something's here. I got to unpack this because I don't want to be haunted by the ghost of past experiences. And if your past is creeping into your present, you are haunted. We should be focused on this present moment and where we're going in the future. We should not be drudging up the past over and over and over. That's not serving us. That's not helping us. Don't ignore the fact that that's occurring. Let's unpack it once and for all. Let's figure out what's there once and for all so we can stop being controlled by these thoughts. Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official. Hi guys, it's Rach. Welcome to another episode of the podcast and a new Ask Rach episode. These are conversations that I have with you, like literally you, the listeners. People call in from all over the world and leave a voicemail, and then I answer the questions. That is the basis of this show. We've been doing it for many years, and why don't we just jump right on into the questions today and see what y'all are wondering.
Hi, Rachel. This is a very spontaneous call, but I figured I'd just do it. I just listened to your 3 Signs from the Universe episode. I found it totally awesome. It's very in line with me and just my woo-woo. Definitely left me with lots of inspiration and just kind of a reinvigoration to want to make sure I'm paying attention, which is always a practice. Anyway, but it inspired a question because you talk about intuition and following your gut and reading the signs, which is very much how I operate. But when I reflect back on, say, periods or points in my life where regret comes up, the oops, maybe I didn't listen to my gut moment and this is what happened. I guess my question is, what is your mindset around regret or moments in your life where you felt like maybe you read the signs wrong, or you didn't listen to yourself, or you just totally missed the mark? Because I don't really know how I feel about regret a lot of the time, because I think that mistakes and, everything's a lesson learned. And I know that some of my most painful moments, whether they were my fault or someone else's. I have grown exponentially from them. However, regret is an interesting thought. I don't totally know how I feel about it sometimes. And I was just wondering what you thought as far as the universe and God and all of that comes in the mix when considering regret and past moments in your life. Okay. Thank you so much. This was a ramble, but I appreciate your time. Okay. Bye. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for the question. As always, if y'all want to know which podcast she's talking about, it's from earlier in the month, and it is episode 758, 3 Signs from the Universe I Never Ignore. So if you want to take a deep dive, that is the episode. But I really love this question. It honestly made me wish we were like for real sitting and having coffee, because going deep on questions like this one, why are we here? What are we meant to do? What are we meant to learn? Why did this happen this way? Turns me on. Like, I love that kind of chat. But what I'm going to say, I feel like you probably know because you touched on this a bit yourself, which is I don't believe in regret. I don't believe in regret because every single one of us, is doing the very best we can with the information that we have and the tools and the wisdom and the resources that we've got in that moment. People do crappy things all the time, but even in doing a crappy thing, it's because that was the best they knew how to do. If they knew better, they wouldn't have made that choice. And if you knew better, whether it's an intuitive decision that you wish you would have listened a little bit more to your gut, or maybe a way that you acted you wish you hadn't, or something you said yes to you wish you would have said no to, no matter what it is, that was the information that you had. That was all you could do with what you were given, what you knew. And sometimes I think that happens not so that we can regret it, but so that we can learn the lesson we need to learn. It's why it's so important to look backwards and just sort of mine what you can from that experience. Maybe what you're mining is, you know what? When I heard that, I got this weird feeling in my stomach and I ignored it. So when I get that weird feeling in my stomach again, I'm going to slow down and take a beat and just ask if that's my body trying to speak to me. Like, maybe that's the lesson you're learning. Or maybe the lesson you're learning is, wow, when I interact with an authority figure, I tend to shut down and I don't show up the way that I want to, and I don't really show up for myself in a way that feels good. Like, maybe that's what it is. I guess what I would love for all of us is to not look at it in terms of, I regret this, but in terms of, man, this taught me something really important. And I'm going to take that information and I'm going to do better the next time. From a personal perspective, I will say that as much as I don't use the word regret, if I keep circling back around to something again and again, for me, a pretty common one would be looking back in hindsight and realizing that I was in relationships with people who were using me, who were not good people, but I couldn't see that. And so I can circle back to that again and again. I'll sort of have obsessive thought coming back to it. And I guess some people could look at that and go, well, you're regretting the way that you acted. But more, I've got to ask myself, what is it about this particular experience that I need to see? Because if some part of me is latching on to what happened, it means that I'm still emotionally attached to that. And that's typically because I'm afraid of something, I'm angry about something, I'm fearful, I'm still upset. Like, if those emotions are still pulling me back into that old experience, that's holding a mirror up to me. That's just begging me to look at why I am really feeling this way, because that's a younger version of myself from that time period that's calling me back. That's a younger version of me that didn't feel safe, that didn't feel protected, and that worries it might happen again. And that version of me is asking me to look at the situation and figure out what's really going on there. So in any instance, no matter what has happened, it is a chance for us to learn. I'm just going to add one more thought here. If you're like me, if you're listening to this and you're like me and you're like, I do that. I go back to the same hurt over and over and over. I rehash that trauma over and over and over. I bring it up again and again. And I'm mad at myself or I'm mad at them or I go, that's not a healthy way of existing. That seems like such an obvious thing to say, but I didn't realize this until a couple of years ago. I really had never heard someone talk about obsessively circling back to the same thought again and again. And when I heard someone, probably like on YouTube or something, talk about it, I was like, oh my God, that's what I do with trauma. I circle back again and again, and it's an obsessive thought. And there was something about realizing that that was not a healthy pattern that allowed me to separate myself from it. This is why a mindfulness practice is so powerful. Meditation is powerful. Prayer is powerful. Anything that you can do to separate yourself from the thought and realize that you are not that thought is really helpful. But for me, understanding that that was not a normal way of processing was important, because then I realized, well, if I'm still coming back to this over and over, something's here. I got to unpack this because I don't want to be haunted by the ghost of past experiences. And if your past is creeping into your present, you are haunted. We should be focused on this present moment and where we're going in the future. We should not be drudging up the past over and over and over. That's not serving us. That's not helping us. Don't ignore the fact that that's occurring. Let's unpack it once and for all. Let's figure out what's there once and for all so we can stop being controlled by these thoughts. So just a couple different ways to think about past, and hopefully they help you as you look into the future. This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. It's spring, or I guess I should say it's almost spring. But the second the weather starts turning and getting even slightly warm, I start looking for spring style. I think it goes back to when I was a little girl and I used to get an Easter dress. There's something about this time of year that makes me want to look for long, flowy maxi dresses and fun date night outfits, and maybe even something to spruce up my wardrobe for work. At Saks, you can find instant inspiration for whatever is on your list. Curate a brand new closet refresh or just get one or two great pieces to upgrade your overall look. If you're looking for shopping to be fun, easy, and stylish, then head to Saks for inspiring ways to upgrade your personal style. Shop Saks.com. Look, everyone knows that toilet paper is not created equal. Not all rolls are the same. Some are too soft. Some, can we say, sort of crumble, if you know what I'm saying? Then other toilet paper is so strong that it can actually hurt. And let's not even talk about the toilet paper that is so thin, it doesn't get the job done. Angel Soft is soft and strong and always affordable. Come on, life is too short. There's too much going on. I don't want to have to overthink this. So pick up a pack of Angel Soft in the toilet paper aisle of your nearest retailer. That's Angel Soft, soft and strong. Simple. Before I go to the next question, I'll just remind you that if you have a question, call the hotline, 737-400-4626. You can call in and leave an anonymous question. You don't have to say your name. You can ask us to change your voice. You can ask us to leave both your voice and your name out, however you want it. Just tell us when you leave the message. But we love building podcast episodes around the questions that y'all ask. I will tell you too, I'm super excited because I had a podcast I was thinking about doing, but I was like, I don't know if anyone cares about that. And then it's one of the questions I see on the list. So I'm so pumped. So get ready for that one. But let's see what other questions we have today.
Hi, Rach. I'm calling because I had a question about writing. I have always wanted to be a writer as long as I can remember. And I actually saw you at your Chicago book signing, and I cried at your feet trying to tell you this dream of mine. So sorry for that. But I wanted to ask you a question regarding this. So I am currently a stay-at-home mom that needs to go back to work for financial purposes, and I'm trying to think about what profession to choose, which sounds so silly because I just told you I want to be a writer. But I guess my question is, should I be looking for a job that pays the bills and then focus on my writing on the side, or should I pursue writing as a career at this point? I'm just feeling kind of stuck on which direction to choose. Anyway, I would appreciate any insight you have. Thank you so much for all you do. I can't thank you enough. You've changed my life, and I really appreciate you. Okay, have a great day.
You might note that the voice of our last caller sounded maybe a little different than a normal human voice, and that is because we changed her voice because she asked us to. And she also asked that I use a different name than her own, so I'm going to call her Becky. I don't know why that made me laugh, but I'm calling you Becky. That's what I'm calling you. Here we go. I actually really appreciate this question because it kind of took me in a different direction than I would normally go. And I love that. I love any time I can talk about a different path than maybe I've discussed with you guys a million times before, because I think if you've been listening to this show for a while, you've heard me tell people many, many, many times to do the job that pays your bills while simultaneously working on the dream. I really get so stressed out for people when they are like, should I quit everything and go pursue my dream with full force? And I'm like, yes, if you don't have anybody counting on you. If you are single, you have few responsibilities, OMG, absolutely. Quit your day job, go all in, live in a small house or get one of those vans that you convert, go all in on the dream, make your cost of living as low as possible, and lean all the way in. I love that for you. But if you have responsibilities, like if you've got a partner that needs you to pay half the rent, if you have children, if you have people who are counting on you, you do not have the luxury of throwing up a peace sign to your boss and exiting stage right. So if that's you, which is most people, you got to pay your bills, then I've said a lot, there are a lot of ways you can pay your bills, find a job that will pay your bills, and then work on the dream. But I actually had the instinct to say something very different to you, Becky, which I'm pumped about. Because I don't think I've ever said this before. If you are passionate about a certain job or a certain industry, go work in the industry. Pursue parallel paths. Pursue both things at once. So you could be writing on the side, which you absolutely should be, and also working in the publishing industry. So you learn about the publishing industry and you're around writers and you're around books, and there are so many jobs you can do this in. There's the actual publishing industry, like people who make books. There are bookstores, there are printers, there are marketers, there are big box retail and their book section. There's so many places that you could work and be connected to the written word. And I'm sure there's 1,000 I'm not even thinking of right now, but be in the energy of writers, be around writers as much as possible. When I wanted to become a published author, because note that I said a published author. Honey, if you've written a sentence, you are a writer. You don't need to do one more thing to be a writer. You already are one. What you want is to be a published author, meaning someone pays you for a thing that you wrote. Amazing. When I was pursuing that, I read everything I could get my hands on about writers. I went to conferences whenever I could. There are lots of different organizations in the US that have local chapters. I guarantee that there's one in Chicago or Naperville where you are. I guarantee that exists, where once a month you can go meet with other writers and you all talk about what you're working on and just be in the energy of the thing that you want to pursue. Because you're going to need a day job, but why not have a day job in an area that you're excited about? I'm always fascinated by people who want to do jobs. I'm going to say this and it sounds so mean, but I do not mean this in a mean way. They do jobs that I would find boring. For instance, anything involving math, anything. Maybe not being a teacher. I think that could potentially be fun. But let's say you're an accountant. And I do not mean that disrespectfully. My accountant is like, I would go to war for Jackie. I will pick up a shield and a sword. I don't know why we're fighting with those in 2025, but if she needed me to, I would. This woman is amazing. I love her so much. But if I had to do Jackie's job, I cannot even imagine. So what I am fascinated by is people who do jobs that they even think are a bit boring. They're like, yeah, but it pays the bills. I don't think Jackie thinks her job's boring. I hope not. But they're like, yeah, I'm an actuary. It pays the bills, whatever. They're like, yeah, I'm the controller in a team. Yeah, I'm the executive assistant. Yeah, I'm the manager of whoosy whatsy. They do those jobs, but they don't choose an industry they're excited about. This blows my ever-loving mind. You're telling me that you went to school, that you have learned how to be an accountant, but you didn't pick a company that does something you're excited about? What are you doing? You could be an accountant at a company that takes care of dogs. You could be an accountant at a fabulous hotel chain. You could be an accountant at an airline so you can fly for free. You can be an accountant at your favorite boutique or clothing brand. Think of things you are interested and excited by, and then work in those industries. I'm so flabbergasted that people don't think of this. If you could be an accountant at, I don't know, Joe's XYZ widget farm, or an accountant at Aloe, why wouldn't you be at Aloe? They probably give free leggings. What? Why wouldn't we choose the thing that is not only something we are interested in, but also probably attracts the kind of people that we are? This is like so key to me, and I really don't know if enough people are considering it, especially when we have so much remote work now. Because I'm already hearing some of you go, yeah, that's nice, but I live in Wisconsin. Like Aloe isn't based here. Yeah, but they do remote work. Imagine being in Wisconsin, buying a house with Wisconsin money, but with the overall aesthetic of working for Aloe. Hello. I didn't know I was so in love with Aloe, but their headquarters is here, so I see it all the time. Anyway, my point is, yes, pursue the dream and also pay your bills. But if you're going to pay your bills, can we aim our ship in the direction of a job and an environment and a work community that feels cool? I think you guys know this, but in case you don't, my happy place is on the beach. Actually, that's not enough. My happy place is on the beach with an iced coffee in my hand. What a vibe. There are a lot of beaches out there, but there's only one people call the beach. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, is made up of 14 coastal communities and 60 miles of sunny beaches. Together, they create a place that makes you feel like you belong. Shine and dine in a foodie haven with oceanfront patios, fresh seafood, low country classics, and southern favorites. Plus, my favorite, you can listen to live music any day of the year, outside at laid-back beach bars, at world-renowned theaters, or right on the boardwalk. You belong at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Plan your trip to the beach at visitmyrtlebeach.com. I have the New Balance 1080s in 2 different colors. I've got the sort of minty green moment, and I've got the white moment because, you need it for the outfit. The New Balance 1080 is the ultimate daily trainer, combining reliable comfort with top-tier performance. Whether you're logging miles or running errands, the 1080 seamlessly transitions from the coffee shop to the grocery store, offering versatility from everything from everyday to race day. The New Balance 1080 midsoles offer cushion support, and I mean it, you guys. It's like bouncing on top of a cloud. Featuring a lightweight and breathable mesh upper, the New Balance 1080 keeps your feet cool and fresh throughout every run. Shop the 1080 at newbalance.com. All right, this one looks like it's a relationship question, which feels interesting, so let's all go there.
Hey, Rach. I have an 18-month-old son and a son due in April. I am a big fan of yours, and I love all the inspiration I found in your podcast and your books. Recently, you talked about the pains of outgrowing your life. With this newer stage of motherhood, I've not been able to keep up as much with my self-care, typically, and as much as I'd like to. And my activity levels look more like running after my toddler rather than achieving my running goals. Mind you, I was never a long distance runner, but I did love my 3 to 5 mile stress release. My weight has always been something I've worried about in the past, even though I'm so grateful for this amazing gift. And I truly am so just blown away by the fact that my body is able to have these boys and carry these boys. It's still hard for me thinking about gaining weight and having to fight that insecurity that creeps in. My husband also has been struggling with some stress just with work recently, and he's actually been able to find running as a good release, a good outlet for him. I'm so proud of him for finding that healthy way to deal with pushing himself and dealing with that stress, but I'm also a little jealous, I think. I want to run again and fight some of these insecurities, and it's not really a possibility for me at this point. And sometimes I feel guilty for even having those thoughts at all. I get nervous thinking about some of like the outgrowing you, and what if he outgrew me? What if I can't keep up? And watching him get stronger, and he just keeps honestly looking better and better. And I'm over here struggling with my mood swings up and down and stress eating. I trust that he knows me and he sees the season I'm in, but I think I feel bad. Like I feel bad about myself. Like I'm not keeping up with what I like to do to take care of myself. And so then I don't know. I worry that my fear or insecurities could hold him back from growing and reaching those goals that I want him to be able to reach. Does that make me a covert narcissist? I've thought about that and what you've talked about, and I don't ever want to hold him back from what he's doing, and I don't want him to feel bad that I'm going through a hard season. Do you have any advice for me being the supportive wife I want to be, and finding ways to focus on the gifts I'm getting rather than worrying about life looking different and my body looking different and not always being on, which I know is so ridiculous, but I don't know. I just didn't know if you had any thoughts or advice, and I just really love your podcasts and your books, and I'm working my way through your newest one, so I hope you're well, and I appreciate you. Thanks.
Oh, sister, I think collectively, all of us who are mamas who just listened to that, like we all collectively just wanted to give you a hug. Let's just start with how pregnant you are, which is very. You are what? Almost about to have this baby, and you have a baby. You have a toddler and a baby on the way, which means you likely hadn't balanced your hormones back out before you got pregnant again. And that means your hormones are probably all over the place, which is going to make this season feel so much harder sometimes than you would believe it should be. Really, truly, I want you to hear me say that this is a wacky season for you, and this is not the time to be hard on yourself for where you should be or how you should be. It's a lot. So just real quick, let's just take a breath together and acknowledge that you are at the tail end of a really intense time period. You've been growing another human. We start to ask ourselves questions like, who am I? What am I? What's going to happen? How do I show up? And our mind will latch on to something like, I'm not able to run anymore, and he's running and he looks really good, and I don't like the way I look. And it just spirals based on something that I think if you felt a bit more balanced, it wouldn't even cross your mind. So I feel very confident in telling you that 90% of what you are feeling right now is because of your hormones and not because of the reality that you should be running the same amount as your husband. Okay, so let's just start there. Let's also say that I actually know exactly what this feels like. When I was pregnant with my third son, my husband at the time started running for the first time ever. So I was watching him do something really strong, run his first half marathon, and lose a bunch of weight while I felt like a mega beast. You know, you're just like waddling around. I had varicose veins in places you should never get varicose veins. So I had to wear these like groin support underwear. I just like the least attractive version of myself. Meanwhile, he's like sprinting, looking great, feeling great. And it definitely shines a bit of a spotlight on how we feel about ourselves when they are crushing it. That's super normal. What it motivated me to do was be really excited to get back out there when the doctor said I could get back out there. I hadn't done that with my previous 2 pregnancies. It took me a really long time to get motivated to try and get healthy again after they were born. But with my third son, because I had him as this catalyst, I was actually so excited the first time that I got to go try and run again. Maybe you see this as this really great sort of pre-motivation for when it is time for you to begin again. This is a good thing. We're excited. Like he's being healthy, he's working through his stress relief, and at some point you'll get the opportunity to do that again. When I was pregnant with my second son, I was really sick. And I remember being on the couch, I was so nauseous. It really sucked. And I couldn't play with my baby he was like 15 months or something. I couldn't play with him the way that I wanted to. And I remember crying to my mom and I was like, I'm such a bad mom. Like I can't play with my baby. I'm so sick to my stomach. All I can do is lay on the couch, try not to throw up and watch him play with his toys. And I remember she said, you are a good mom. You're being a good mom to the baby that you're growing, even if you can't show up right now for the baby that's on the floor playing with the toys. There's a lot going on for you, and you need to give yourself grace. You knew I was going to tell you that. I must say that once an Ask Rach episode, give yourself some grace. You're in a really specific season, and I always say the word season because seasons come to an end. This will not last forever. But I'm going to add one more little nugget in here that I think all of us heard too, which is the idea that you're a narcissist because babe, you're overthinking this. Your hormones are making you overthink this. Your body feels out of whack. You miss running. At some point, your body will not feel out of whack. You'll get to run again. That's the headline. We don't need to dig deeper. You're not a narcissist. He's not going to outgrow you because he can run and you are pregnant. Like your brain's doing too much. And I don't say that flippantly because my brain is the queen of the do too much community. I'm telling you that because sometimes I just need someone to look at me and be like, honey, no, you're overthinking this. And that's what I'm going to do for you. Say, honey, you're overthinking this. You will get your body back. You will run again. You're great. Let's do one thing at a time. What is the next right thing for you to do? Can you, at the very least, can you go on a walk? Maybe you put your baby in the stroller and you go on a walk. You just walk every day from now until the baby comes. That's going to be great for you. It's not exercise, just moving your body, getting things going. Even if you can just go to the end of the block and back, that's going to allow you to get out. Maybe you get some sunshine on your face. You're out with the baby. It feels really good. And you are doing it knowing that you're headed in the direction of who you're going to be once you have this baby and you get cleared from the doctor and you get your groove back. But until then, stop overthinking this. You're doing great and it will get better. All right, y'all. If you have a question you want me to answer, please call the hotline. The number is 737-400-4626. I will be back tomorrow with more conversation. But until then, as always, I love you and I'm rooting for you. The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble.